Hey there! In this video, I'll share with you an effective method to compare the rates of different reactions by analyzing a rate of reaction graph. I'm Orlando Broomfield from Chemistry Core. Let's solve this chemistry exam style question together. Before analyzing the graph to arrive at 4 points of comparison to support our conclusion on which of the two reactions has the slower rate, let's describe the graph. Two sets of data have been collected on both reactions: the time taken for the reactions to occur in regular time intervals and quantity of product formed. The result is a rate of reaction graph for both reactions, showing how the quantity of product formed changed over time. Our first point of comparison is the shape of the curve. Now, these curves have not been drawn to scale, but if we drew these curves to an exact scale, we would be able to determine the gradient of each curve, and we would by that discover that the gradient for the curve of the reaction in Y is steeper than the gradient for the curve in the reaction X. So since reaction Y has a steeper curve than reaction X, then X has the slower rate. Now onto the second point of comparison, the amount of product formed at a given time. Let's take T1, represented by this vertical line on the graph, to be a specific time during the reaction. Here the graph is showing us that at a specific time, T1, a lesser amount of products are formed from reaction X, and this is demonstrated by the horizontal line Q1, than the amount of product formed in reaction Y as represented by the horizontal line Q2. So at a given time T, Y has more products, then that also supports the first conclusion that X has the slower rate. Now onto the third point of comparison, the time taken for the same amount of product to be formed. Let's take the amount of product to be formed as this horizontal line Q2, and the graph is showing us that the amount of product Q2 formed from reaction Y takes place at a faster time T1 than that which occurs in the reaction X, T2. So the time taken for the same amount of product to be formed, based on the graph, we can conclude that Y takes a shorter time than X to form the same amount of product. Therefore, once again, we have the third supporting point that X has the slower rate. And now for our fourth and last point of comparison, the time taken for the reaction to end. We can know when the reaction ends based on the graph by looking at the starting point, and here for reaction X it will be T3, the starting point of the horizontal line. When we have a horizontal line, it means that no further products are being formed. In terms of the reaction, it also means that the limiting reactant has been completely used up and has produced the maximum amount of products. So T3, the time when the limiting reactant is completely used up in reaction X, is much longer than that of reaction Y, which would occur somewhere about here on the graph. So, since in reaction Y, the limiting reactant is used up completely, before that of reaction X, then we can conclude that X has the slower rate. Thank you for watching another video on solving problems in chemistry with Chemistry Core. If you were tuned in, you are now able to compare the rates of different reactions by analyzing a rate of reaction graph in terms of the steepness of the gradient of the curves, the quantity of product formed within the same duration, the time taken for the same amount of product to be formed, and how long it takes for the limiting reactant to be completely used up. Good luck on your exams, and I'll see you next time.